For a memorable shopping experience, you have to come to Bicester Village.
These look perfect. They are such a good length.
They have over 150 designer fashion and lifestyle boutiques, and I've never been anywhere quite like it.
This is going to be very tempting.
From personal shopping consultants to hands-free shopping, yes, they carry your bags for you, so chic. It's a 5-star service.
There are so many savings at Bicester Village. The reduction from the original price is just incredible.
And only an hour on the train from London. The next time I visit, I'm definitely trying out their personal shopping packages.
I feel so glamorous just slipping into these. I think I'll take them.
To enter a prize draw to win £500 worth of shopping at Bicester Village, follow the link in the description. T's and C's apply.
Thank you so much.
We're going to move on to your second failure, which is that you were nominated for 5 Grammys, but you didn't win any. So this was February 2007. Were you nominated for them all in the same year?
I was, yeah. So we're back in the noughties, the greatest decade for music that mankind has
greatest
ever
decade in
known.
so many ways, apart from like toxic patriarchy and all of that. But
brushing over that.
Yeah.
But specifically for music. 2007, I'd been nominated for 5 Grammys. And you know what? Statistically, that means you're going to win. I mean, at least 2. You're in. And I don't know if there's been any other artist who've gone through the same experience of sitting there and all 5 starting to fall apart. Was just a mind-blowing moment. It was, I found it quite funny, really. But the people around me were, obviously it was... So the story went like this. What happened was that the year before, the Dixie Chicks, I don't know if this is, the year before, the Dixie Chicks had been nominated, and they had gone out vocally against the Iraq War and against George Bush, and the nation had vilified them, had crucified the Dixies for being so unpatriotic, for saying things that were absolutely couldn't be said, that they and they shouldn't be saying these things. So the next year, the Dixie Chicks put out an album, and everyone at that stage, the Iraq War had turned against, and George Bush was no longer a popular human being. And so this time, the story is really that they won. They won all your
Grammys.
Won all my Grammys.
Carrie Underwood won one as well of your Grammys.
Really?
Yeah,
well, she goes in the same pile. Then.
Yeah, she got Best New Artist. But was it?
No, I blame the Iraq War. I'd stuff Carrie Underwood. The Iraq War lost me my Grammys. Does that mean it's like kind of when the dog ate my dinner, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's beyond your control. There's nothing you could do about
that.
But
Saddam Hussein lost me my Grammys.
And just another thing to hate him for. Yeah. Didn't you actually perform at that Grammys as well?
I did.
Oh my gosh, Jake, what a horrible
evening. And I tell you what was
amazing
about it, because one of the Grammys, I can't remember what it was, one of them I'd learned that I hadn't got on the journey there. And then I was hearing that, I haven't got as their awards are being read out and the camera's in your face and you're smiling for the person who's gone up on the stage. And then as we're getting to, they've all gone, I haven't won any of them, but at least I've got the performance. And for the performance, rather than being on the stage at the end of the arena, I was put in the middle on a kind of in the round. And so there I am in front of the 20,000 people, or however many there might be, and I'm live to the nation. Well, at least I've got the performance. And the radio microphones started having interruption from all the other cell phones in the building. And so the performance just kept cutting out. And it's a live show.
Oh my gosh, how agonising.
So we didn't get the Grammys and the performance sounded terrible.
I want to talk to you a bit about award ceremonies, because they haven't been happy places for you a lot of the time, even when you win.
I feel like this is a real therapy session.
I know, and I know you haven't had therapy, so that's my challenge accepted.
Yeah.
I want it to feel like this,
Thanks
James.
for this. Yeah.
Because you've had people really slag you off at them.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. My mother, she's been saying terrible things.
Paul Weller.
I did go through a session, didn't I, then, of Paul Weller was mean. I don't know where.
He said he'd rather eat shit than work with you.
Yes.
Yeah, just remind you of that.
Yes, but the weird thing about that was I genuinely hadn't asked to work with him.
No.
So why has he suddenly come up with this statement? It just must be that he really, really just was seizing the opportunity to eat his own shit. I don't know why he was effectively volunteering to do that, because I hadn't asked him.
I mean, Damon Albarn blanked you, all of this sort of stuff. I don't understand. Why do you think they were so triggered?
So the Damon Albarn was a pretty amazing amazing moment. Actually, I was in a rehearsal studio. I was just trying to audition a new bass player because my other bass player had gone and married someone in Australia. And we got the call. We'd just finished and we were having a drink. And I got the call that Pete Doherty wasn't being allowed on the Jules Holland show because he'd been done for drugs and he'd been thrown off the show. And so we turned up, a little drunk. And Damon Albarn was on the show and we performed with me and my band. And at the end of every show, they get all the musicians together and they take a photo of all the musicians. And that photo is printed out and framed and put on the walls of the Jules Holland show. And Damon apparently refused to be in the same picture as me. So I was going through this really weird experience suddenly where they kept me back in my dressing room and they kept on saying, you can't come out. And they were being really shady with me while they gathered all the musicians. And then they took the photo and then they said, okay, now you can come out, as Damon was walked off and got in his car and walked off. And then they took a second photo with all the musicians except Damon. And I don't know which is on the wall, but I can take a guess. And so it was just really weird behavior of his, and there were a couple of other musicians who were just saying things, and I guess those musicians probably found themselves falling into a kind of a trap that either the music and music journalists set up for them. Which band don't you like? They're going to be asking interviews and they're trying to ingratiate themselves to the journalist and say this band, and it becomes easy to say blunt that they'll follow suit. But it's a trap that we find ourselves in the business that we probably should again talk about and say we don't need to. We're probably bigger than that.
Yeah, it's a form of groupthink, isn't it? And it's not as if your talent is in question. You're incredibly talented by any metric. So it must have been a very strange thing to experience. Has anyone ever apologized?
No, I don't think so. I bumped into Noel Gallagher the other day. He'd said he was leaving Ibiza and selling up his house because he couldn't handle me writing my shit songs down the road from him. House prices subsequently went up after he's left. Whenever I see him, he's really sweet to my face. I think I think these, everyone's sweet to each other's faces. It's just with the courage of a microphone and a journalist and trying to show off a little, they'll do something different.
Well, I want to apologise on behalf of the culture at large. I'm sorry that you went through that. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the full episode of How to Fail on your preferred podcast platform, and also be sure to follow us on social media for the latest updates.